Hello, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the WoW podcast. I'm your host, Mohsin Bensed, the director of the Writing Communication Center. Welcome to the WoW Wings of Wisdom podcast, brought to you by the Writing and Communication Center, WCC, at Ashland University. Our mission is to elevate the conversation around writing, communication, and academic life. Every couple of weeks, we invite a special guest from the university to share their unique insights and experiences. We explore how different departments value communication, and we delve into the many ways our guests support students in their academic journeys. Whether you are a student, faculty member, or just someone passionate about higher education and communication, this podcast offers something for everyone. So tune in and let your wisdom take flight. And co-hosting with me today is Chelsea Allen.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Allen. I am a sophomore at Ashland University this year. I work with Mohsin at the Writing and Communication Center in Bixler. I'm going to be an industrial and systems engineering major, so that's interesting. Very
What did you
different from
choose your
writing.
major, Chelsea?
Well, I originally was going to go to trade school before I ever came to college. And
I remember last semester weren't you art and English?
well, art was an accident, actually. There was a miscommunication there. I came here as an environmental science major because I was going to do environmental engineering. So then, before I knew about the industrial and systems engineering program that we're starting, I was like, okay, art is the closest thing in like ideal concepts to engineering, I feel like. So that's where the art thing came from. But now we're opening a program for industrial and systems engineering. So
Very
that's
good,
where we're
very
going
good.
with it.
Very smart.
Mhm.
And also, you're taking a class with our guest. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So without further ado, I actually wrote an intro about our guest today. So ladies and gentlemen, fasten your virtual seatbelts and power up those devices, because today we're diving deep into the world of educational technology with an expert who's been at the cutting edge of online learning, right? An instructional designer, professor, quality matters master reviewer, and also a sociologist with a passion for American culture. Let's not forget, he also recently bagged his MBA from Ashland University. And joining us from Learn AU of Ashland University, where he crafts the future of online education. Please give a warm welcome to the tech savvy, always innovative Dr. Chuck Piscitello.
The funny
Thank
thing
you.
is, like, the class that Chelsea is taking with me is in person and very, very low tech. So, like, hopefully, like, my online learning skills come off with my, 1 hour sprint rants on whatever topic and whatever else it may be. What do we want to talk about? What topic specifically, like, did you want to start with?
Well, let's start with the course that you're teaching right now. With I think Chelsea is taking the course and is also an embedded coach,
Mhm.
a WCC
So,
writing communication coach in the course.
So this is a sociology of the family. I think the title is like marriage and family. This class applies sociological ideas to marriage and family and society. I'm in the middle of switching books in this class and like the other classes that I'm teaching. So it's a surprise to me, I think, on what I'm covering. The stuff on, for the most part, like sociology is sociology, and you can like focus it on whatever topic you want. But it's always interesting to see like how the textbook would spin something, and like what is my battle with what the textbook is saying and how I would interpret it. The point of the entire class is really like I want the students to walk away like having a better grasp of what family is and how to define family, and using like all of these like sociological tools to do so. What week is this? It's already like week 5,
Week 6.
We're week 6.
Week 6. Okay, I was still on like MBA time. We're in week 6, and we're still like caught up on like the defining what family is, and we're like, it feels like we've just been stuck at this one question. But I think it's important to look at it through the different lenses that we use to define family through the sociological perspective.
Very good.
And I think it's a good thing that we have like an actual course over this, because there's so much input that we're getting from each student when it comes to defining what family is. Like, it's seriously something different for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. And especially when it comes to, sociological concepts like marriage, for example. Modern times, I think the terms have changed. What is marriage right now? What that means to students, and we're talking about different generations as well, right? So there are a lot of complexities surrounding these concepts, and no wonder you're thinking about switching books, right? Was that your personal decision, or is that
Yeah, so I did like the previous author, but the textbook had a lot of content that was out of date already. And then when I was signing up for this, because we have to adopt our textbook at the beginning of the semester, there's already a new edition of the author that I'm using now. So it's never ending, but it's good to see that they're updating the content, and the references they're making and the charts that they're using are continuously being updated, because I felt like that stuff started to lag, especially like, in today's day and age where information is, updating by the minute. You
Right.
have constant updates in the information, where like even the idea of like your textbook that you can pick up and read, that thing is out of date by the time it's published. And
Right.
like we almost feel like it's a bit of an antiquated idea to like assign a textbook, but like we're just stuck because it's such a cost investment to students. It's nice that we do have like the digital textbook options that are just way cheaper, but they're stuck to like the same model of like, hey, we have to go to the next edition. Makes no sense. Why don't they just continuously update the file?
Right.
And like, regardless, just say like this is the 20 whatever version. There are like ways there are like open source options for students, but sometimes I feel like that stuff doesn't really cut it, especially when you have the more involved like specific courses. So then
Sure,
we have to kind of create our own thing. So that's like, I guess the innovative thing that we're doing in the class is they're really kind of working on creating a lot of the content they're learning from. So like we went through the process of, they did a literature review, and we worked together in putting together a survey, and they compiled the results, and I did a half-assed job of throwing together some data analysis so they could write about it. And now they're going to take all of that information the rest of the semester, all the rest of the papers will be interviews. And this is why I love the class, is they can go interview family members, interview friends about specific topics in marriage and family. So the first one is due next week. So I always look forward to like, what does grandma say, or what does grandpa say? What does like their uncle say about marriage? And how is it different from their perspective? Like just a, very unscientific question of, how many of you think you're going to get married? It was like 1.5 of them in the class raised their hand.
Really? 1.5?
But then I had to kind of like go back of like, when I was in their age, I probably didn't think I was going to get married. Like, you're a very confusing, chaotic time of your life, and you can't afford everything. Like, right. Of course you don't think that. Think about marriage, especially if you don't have someone to think about marriage with.
Yeah, very good. It sounds like an interesting class, and I feel like I need to take a course like that too. So
I can learn from you. I try to bring in like guest speakers too, just to get those different perspectives. So like to me, like had to try to back into my intro there. Like I didn't always want to be a sociologist. I think I always started off wanting to be somewhat. I was always interested in technology, and I think I was just like put off on the wrong track in school. Like I said, I wanted to do something with computers. I didn't know. I was like brand new to school, brand new to college, and they put me on like a computer science route that I'm still terrified of the curriculum they put me on. It was like calculus 3 and like all kinds of physics and then I took like a sociology class. I'm like, and just said one of the, classic, I can do that. I definitely can talk about what that guy's talking about. So I kind of like started to gravitate towards social science stuff. And then like undergrad, I was psych and soc, just because I was just interested in like people, and then, sociology specifically gravitate towards weird people. And people tell me that I'm weird all the time.
So, Chuck,
yeah,
I was going to ask you, what classes have you taught in addition to this socio class? Have you taught other classes on campus?
So I'm across the board. Like I'm a polymath, and I'm always interested in learning more. You just mentioned I wrapped up my MBA. Like I'm always looking to learn more stuff and taking advantage of opportunities for a discounted education. So I had my undergrad was psych and soc. Then I wanted to be a consumer psychologist. So then, a little bit of marketing in there, a little bit of business in there, but never taking business school. Then like I went for that master's and it just wasn't a good fit for me. So luckily I had 2 majors and got my master's in sociology, all the while working in management. So, a little bit of working in business and trying to analyze people more on a scientific side, social scientific side. Still in the background is this love of technology. So like after I got my master's, I adjuncted around. The first class I ever taught was at a small art and design school in Lakewood, Ohio, right on the border of Lakewood and Cleveland, which has to be in the runnings for the most interesting place on earth. The greatest people watching I've ever experienced in my life. And so I taught like pretty much business classes at this tiny little school. And I taught an organizational behavior class and an organizational communication class, or like a business communication class. So taught as an adjunct there while running a store for the company that I worked for. After a while, I found a full-time position at a career college, which was an interesting situation because it was for profit, and it went, had its own weird rules. It wasn't like regular higher ed. It wasn't, like Ashland or any of the other schools that I taught for. But the one big benefit is like they paid for my doctorate. So through them, they paid for a doctorate at Argosy University in teaching and learning. And I had a focus of educational technology, a focus of instructional design. I was taking all of these classes. The school I taught for, we were adopting iPads in the classroom, where everybody had an iPad. All the students were given an iPad when they enrolled. There was the technology to like stream your iPad, like everyone could share. It was pretty cool. And I noticed that like faculty members either would take it or leave it. They would either run with it or they would just keep it on the shelf and it would collect dust. I was given the role of iPad champion because I was like so into it. And I was kind of like running all the teaching and learning and the professional development with that. And that's what my dissertation turned into, was pretty much asking like, why do faculty members like accept technological change or not? And it was focusing on the iPad.
I was going to ask, were there any surprising findings or aha moments during your research?
So like, I asked them like questions about like their acceptance of technology. You saw like there's like demographic questions, nothing crazy like groundbreaking, but like you always have to like, and it's something that I do hold true today, is like when I'm introducing a new technology to a faculty today, you always have to find those people who are champions, those people that are excited about it. And I'll get to like those projects soon enough, because like I have a handful of them at AU.
Oh wow.
But like, yeah, that place like paid for my doctorate, and like I was all but dissertation, the dreaded ABD, and they laid me off.
Wow.
And And all of these crazy steps, like leading to like, where I am now, like I've all just been blessings, like bringing me to like AU and just like preparing me for like where I'm at today. So they laid me off, and within but they continue to pay for the doctorate. So luckily they finished paying that off, and I was able to graduate a couple of years later. But like within a couple of days, my friend that worked at a hospital in the Canton area, which had a small small nursing college, said, we need someone to build a sociology class online and someone to teach the sociology class. Could you do that? I'm like, yeah, for sure. I just got laid off. I'll clean your toilets. It's great. It doesn't matter what you want. And so like I show up, they interview me. Like they didn't have anyone else. Like I was their sociologist for like 10 years, like until I finally said, I don't want to teach for you anymore. But like the provost at the time was looking through my transcripts, and they're like, there's instructional design on here. We're going to hire instructional designers soon. I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, I didn't know, like, even though I took classes in it, like, it just didn't occur to me that, like, because I was doing that all myself. Like, if you talk to any adjunct that goes to go teach somewhere, they're like, all right, here's the book, here's the syllabus, good luck. And like at some places, and AU being one of them, like we will build class. A faculty member will work with an instructional designer and build a class, and we'll build in Blackboard and use all the best practices. It makes sense to me now because I've been doing the job for quite a bit, but I didn't know at the time that, I was just chronic adjunct across the planet and building my own classes for myself and doing instructional design for myself, that this was a job, and it was a job that I loved. Like, I'm like, this makes a lot of sense that, college professors are never taught how to teach. Like, you have a physicist that has a PhD in physics. They're never once ever taught how to teach in a classroom or teach online. Like, they pick up these skills along the way. So universities really should invest in having the folks that help faculty have the best possible class. Mohsin is not as old as me, but he probably remembers the classes in college where professor like stands up there, lectures, doesn't really entertain any questions, and then it's like a midterm and a final. Like, well, that's not the best possible option.
Still, there's some professors here that are just so smart that they didn't really learn how to like teach students their smartness. And I feel like you do a really like good job at doing that, though. Like with all of your, I don't know, jack of many trades.
I try to disguise the fact that I'm not that bright, and and I try not to get like any ego in the way here. Like any technological evolution, like one of the motivations is always like straight up laziness. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Chuck. Now, with your background in sociology, how do you think that influences or intersects with your role as an instructional designer?
I think it's just like, I mean, the reason I was interested in people, like, and that was both the psych and the soc background, was like working in business and just interacting with people and understanding that you need to build relationships, like understanding that you need to network. Like all these people that I work with, and that's probably one of my gripes in higher education, is people love to like be that super smart professor in a vacuum in the corner. They emerge from their office, they share their brilliance with their class, they go back to their office and they grade the students' work, and maybe they publish their stuff, but that's for the higher academic crowd. The rest of the world never will hear from them. So like my fear is like we have all of these brilliant people and we don't share what their awesome ideas are. So like, like as a sociologist, like I look at like, well, how can we network all these folks together to create something awesome? How do we bring people together and their experiences to share all of these amazing things? And going back to like that iPad thing and what I'm doing today, that's pretty much the equivalent, like the whiteboard or virtual reality or augmented reality or
artificial intelligence.
Yeah, the AI stuff. Like we can say like there's brilliant professors at our university that are saying that we really need to work the basic muscles of learning first, which I agree with. That we have great professors saying that, like maybe because AI is a thing, we really have to tamp down everything that we're doing in the classroom. But what's the right way to use AI? And like anytime there's a new advancement in technology, we have these fears. Like we were talking about earlier, Mohsin, about like you can catch the AI paper because it keeps using moreover. But like Microsoft Word spell check used to tell me to use moreover all the time.
It sounds more academic.
And a student that their writing isn't the best. They're like, well, I'm going to just listen to what the spell check says. I'm going to listen to what Grammarly tells me. All of this is artificial intelligence that we've been using for years.
Right.
A lot of the AI that we've been using has been okay. I think it's like we need to find the match between the professional that's using the tool and the professional that's great at using the tool, and training that professional to use that tool well. Like me using AI is different than a student that just takes my paper prompt, puts it in ChatGPT, and it goes and just gives you a pile of bullshit that doesn't really make sense in terms of the prompt. Where like someone that's good at using generative AI knows to interact with it and use it, and it's your writing and your feedback from the generative AI, but you're in charge of the conversation. Like you have the end say of what the output is, and it should look a lot more like your ideas. We've been having nonstop chats about generative AI, and one of the interesting things that like one of our professors mentioned was eventually like it's learning from us, then it's learning from itself, and then the human being is kicked out of the equation. Then what does the end result look like if it's only learning from itself and no new ideas are being added to it? So those are just the crazy things that I like, a little afraid of, and just the misuse of it. But you think about like power tools, right? Like there are craftsmen out there that are amazing. You give them like these wonderful Milwaukee like power tools, and they can build you a house. You give me those Milwaukee power tools, and well,
what are you gonna do with them?
Like I don't have the background. Like the same thing. Like you have an accountant who, can be an accountant with just a 10 key punch. Or, you could have some AI powered accounting software to do your taxes. I would rather have that accountant that's a CPA that has that software versus the accountant that's a CPA that doesn't.
Right.
So you want that person to have the training. And I agree with the faculty members that talk about like we need to build the right muscles to prepare you to use AI or any of these tools properly. And maybe the skills are different. Like anytime there's an advancement in technology, and that's the other thing with sociology is like you look at like what are the advancements in cultures versus the technology they have, going from hunters and gatherers to agrarian society to industrial society to service society to this crazy monstrosity that we have today. Like we have different skills that we used in the past that were necessary. Like memory, like we don't have nearly the memory that the hunters and gatherers had because they had to memorize things because there wasn't a system of writing yet. And now, like, if you ask me what my wife's phone number is, I have to go to my phone and pull it up, and she yells at me all the time. She's like, "What if there's an emergency?" I'm like, whatever. There's no emergency. I'll figure it out. Like technology makes you lazy, and you develop new technology because you're lazy. But like what makes me sad is like there's phone numbers in my head that I don't need anymore that are not my wife's phone number. Like my pager number from the 90s is 8060619. And that doesn't help anybody. No one needs that number. It probably doesn't work anymore.
I'm sure there's a way you can unload and then reload.
Yeah, if I could just replace that one number with my wife's number.
There you go. There's that space. So what's your advice, Chuck, for educators who are reluctant to kind of reevaluate the way they teach or integrate more technology into the classroom and meet the students where they are?
I think they have to communicate with their students. Like I've been telling people for years, like the whole sage on the stage model is becoming antiquated because we have these little adult learners in front of us that have their own experiences. And I always learn from my adult learners in front of me. That's why I don't teach K through 12. And I want to interact with them. I want to meet them where they are. That's why I don't. What's the first? Do you remember the first thing I made you guys, or the first thing I did in class, Chelsea? I make it a point.
Bad memory.
So every semester I go to the board and I write Dr. Piscitello on the board, and then I point at my name, and she remembers now. I point at my name, and they all like try, and some might get it, some might purposely butcher it, some accidentally butcher it, and then I'm like, all right, good enough. And so I erase the Piscitello, and I just write Chuck on the board because why? And then I make some jokes that I'm not a medical physician. I can't prescribe any drugs. I can't give them any physicals. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm only there to
Dr.
be with
Chuckles
them so
over
we
here.
can all learn together.
What do you say, Chelsea?
So we got Dr. Chuckles over here. My favorite ever was another professor calling him Dr. Chuckles.
Oh, really?
Do you remember who that was?
No.
Okay, so yeah, Professor McBrayer.
It was the yeah.
It was. Oh, what is he? Who does he look like?
Dr. Ryan Reynolds.
That's right.
You think I remember his real name?
So yeah, so Greg referred to me as Chuckles because I raised my hand. He's like, yes, Chuckles.
So Chuck, for my cousin who doesn't know is going to be one of the people watching the show and doesn't have any clue who Greg is, or Dr. Ryan Reynolds. Can you tell us who that person is?
So Greg is Professor McBrayer is one of our Ashbrook professors in political science. He teaches a lot of like Greek historical political science, a lot of Plato, Socrates. He's a exercise enthusiast. I know where you're going with this. And known for cornering folks all around Ashland, Ohio, to join this group of men that work out in the wee hours of the morning. So is that your cousin from Morocco that probably has done the same types of workouts, right?
Right, but just the Ryan Reynolds,
Ryan Reynolds,
reference.
on the other hand, is an American actor that's played a few superheroes and has been on some comedies. Very sarcastic actor, and our friend Greg looks pretty much like a very different chin. So bearded Greg McBrayer looks more like bearded Ryan Reynolds than if they are both naked-faced, which currently they both are. And naked-faced
Right.
Greg makes me very, very uncomfortable.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, again, congratulations on your MBA. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Could you speak to the experience and, you're not just a faculty member, you're also instructional designer, you're a father, you're a husband. How has that academic journey how did it go to begin with, and then how has it influenced your perspective as an educator and also as an educational technology expert?
So I've been involved with the college business for pretty much since I started. Like I was originally hired in 2017 to work with the correctional education folks. So my original job was to build correctional educational classes, and so there was two of us then. When I first started to focus specifically on correctional ed. By a year later, they figured out that my skill set was wider than that, and my creativity lent to more than just the correctional ed classes, which are pretty limited in what they can offer the students. They're still amazing, but limited in what the students can engage in. So then the dean at the time reached out to my director at the time and said, I need someone to really focus on our college and give our faculty instructional design help. He was getting probably some specialized help in his classes, in setting them up from the guy that ran Blackboard at the time. And I think he believed that he was getting the specialized help because he was the dean. So he was like, well, I appreciate getting specialized help, but like, I want all my folks to get that help. So then I became responsible for the College of Business. I think around COVID, like I finally decided, I'm like, oh, I'm interested in, like, they had a digital marketing track. So like, going back to the past, I wanted to be a consumer psychologist. So the little marketing thing was still like,
Right.
a little chip on my shoulder. So I'm like, I'll take those 4 classes, the 3 digital marketing classes and MBA 507, which is marketing management. I'm just going to take those classes because, you only need a handful of classes to teach something at the college level. You don't
Right.
need the full master's degree. And then Sly, as a Dan Fox, said to me, you only have 6 classes to go, Chuck. Like, fine. But since I've worked with them and created those relationships and,
Right.
great folks over here. I mean, we have awesome faculty across the board, but like, great folks here that are willing to reach out and ask questions. And the administration over on this side of the house was always good about like sharing what I can do for them. So that created even more connections. And the moment I finished that MBA, the assistant dean was like, well, do you want to teach marketing 507? I'm like, okay, sure. And it's in person. So like, online, I think it would have been easier for me to pull off. But I really got to work at it now to seem like I know what I'm talking about when I'm teaching marketing. And I've taught marketing classes before. So like, it's not a stretch, but just to be on the spot. And it's an enormous class. There's 43 students, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. Like, it's a graduate course, so lots of group work. It's a graduate course, so it's 43 students, but into 10 groups. So they have to do group work. My plan for this group is they have one big case study throughout the entire semester. And the case study is to save Bud Light. So put together a marketing scheme to try to gain back market share for Bud Light. And put together a marketing plan to bring Bud Light back to #1. So like the groups are working on that like through the 12-week semester. That's why I said it was week 4, because it's week 4 for them, because they started a few weeks later.
Do you guys get to taste Bud Light in class since you're?
We don't. I mean, no? To be honest, like I don't like Bud Light at all. It's like before, like it's not good beer. I'm a beer snob. Like I used to make my own beer. My own wine, my own liquor, like good old grappa. But yeah, like it makes me a little bit of a beer snob, and like something like Bud Light is offensive to me.
So who came up with the idea in class?
I did, just because like there was a controversy, and it was #1, and it just lost such an enormous part of its market share, where it's not even like in the top 10 anymore. Of course, it was replaced by other Anheuser-Busch beers. So, like, like the media is making it seem like they lost their behinds in this, but like, Modelo is like what took over, and it's yet another Anheuser-Busch product.
Yeah, very good. Wow. Do you still make grappa, Chuck?
My dad makes it in his makeshift still. I wish I had time to do these hobbies. I don't have much time to do hobbies. Maybe when I go to Akron tomorrow to do my presentation, I'll go to the grape and granary and get a kit to make wine. Wine's the easiest. It's like the low-hanging fruit. You get juice, throw it in a bucket, put yeast in it, and it's wine in like a week.
Very good. All right, cool. Let's see. I still have some serious questions to ask you, Chuck. How about this? What about your favorite spot on campus?
It depends what I'm doing.
Especially for someone who is new to AU, doesn't know the campus very well.
So like if I'm going to show people around, I love the top floor of the student center because there's some interesting artifacts from AU's past. Like I specifically like the frame picture of Norm Macdonald. And it's signed like right out his face. Like that thing has to be worth a lot of money, and it's just on the wall in our student center.
With his signature?
So like those like there's so many weird things up there that like, you know, I kind of get lost in the like TGI Fridays mode of hanging a whole bunch of pictures together.
What do you think about the second floor, Chelsea, as you know, a new-ish student?
Well, I can't tell anyone my favorite spot because then I'll just take it over. But I think the study lounges in the top are really nice. The bean bags are my favorite. I don't know. The top is like a freaking matrix. It's so difficult to navigate.
Oh yeah,
Or
especially with those,
it was when I first came here.
with those framed
The
pictures on the
hallways
wall.
make
So
no
many.
sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
every hallway looks the same.
Yeah. What about the bookstore, Chuck? What can you tell us about the bookstore? And look what I got. I went inside the bookstore, and then I asked myself, what would Chuck do?
So yeah, like I don't know
And
if you
you
saw
were
it,
wearing,
the shirt.
there
I
you
have
go.
the Ashland University shirt on. That was on Ted Lasso. But yeah, Mosine was talking about earlier. He's like, you should talk about your extensive AU T-shirt collection. And I don't know how many I have. I just, you know, there's days because they have the $10 shirt wall.
Okay.
And like if there's one that I don't have that I like, that I will buy it. And then they'll also have like a shirt of a month. So
So you got the whole collection?
I like, I don't know. I'm in between. Like I'll wear a suit one day to work, like yesterday, and then days like this, I'll be in jeans and a t-shirt. So like you gotta love higher ed. Like, you know, all you have to do is wear the swag, and people are like, "Carry on, sir."
You're good, yeah.
I've been in jobs before where like, you know, you only have to you can only wear a shirt and a tie. I'm like, I hate this. This is terrible. You don't tell me what to do. I'm an academic.
Oh yeah, actually the first language institution that I worked at, we had academic professors teaching. One time, one guy didn't have time to go and change. He came to class wearing his tennis suits. He just had tennis class and just put on his tracksuit. Came to class, and the director went inside that classroom and he asked him to talk to him outside the class. He said, "Please go home and change, and I will take over your class."
Professor McDonald is a part of that group of guys that goes and works out at the rec in the morning.
Oh, the
And
crazy
he,
guys? Yeah,
yes, yes.
Yeah, tell me
he will
about what do you
come-
know about those guys?
They are all over the
Fanatics.
benches. Yes, it's so funny listening to them. But I had a class with Professor McDonald. He would come straight from basketball, like playing basketball with the crazy guys. And then he would be in his basketball clothes and then end up having to wear, because we were, I don't know, welding, doing whatever we're doing at the time. So
Right.
he's just wearing his basketball shorts welding. I'm like, this man, this is
That's
great.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Dan is awesome. I call him the Renaissance man.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's a mechanic. He's a roofer. He's an
He's in
artist.
everything. Yes.
He's everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
My car was broke down in the back of the parking lot on campus.
Yeah.
And I ended up texting Professor McDonald. I was like, hey, do you think you could look at my car?
He would. Actually, this story I don't tell anyone, but we had
Right,
a
except
pipe
for
in
everyone
the
listening to the podcast.
Right.
in the basement. I know he's gonna be so famous by now. Everyone's gonna be calling him after this. But anyways, I actually hired someone to come, a professional plumber, to come and look at it, and thought it was fixed after 1 week, and it was leaking again. And I told Dan. He said, "Okay, don't worry." And he came to my house and he fixed it. I think it cost like $20 to get the pipe, and it worked just fine. It's been a year now.
Oh my goodness.
All right. One more question, Chuck. Unless Chelsea has a fun question for you.
I don't yet.
Okay. All right.
Take it away.
Chuck, given the the rapid pace of advancements in technology, where do you see the future of online education in the next 5-10 years?
That's impossible to answer. I just because like in the past year, there's been so many crazy advancements with AI and like not even just like Chat GPT, like generative text stuff, like just the art stuff. Like, when's the last time you put together a PowerPoint? Like the online version of PowerPoint. When we transitioned to Microsoft, I was so angry because I loved all the Google stuff. Like
Right.
online version of PowerPoint is a marvel because it generates variations of the slide and different like colors. It's amazing. And that's something that's very new and no one gives it credit. Like I was showing my slideshow to Chelsea earlier and to my colleagues earlier. And like my colleagues were pointing at it, like, who made this slide? I'm like, PowerPoint made this slide. I just threw a bunch of pictures in there and it just made a
Wait,
slide for me, like out
is
of
this
magic.
is this Google or is this Microsoft?
It's Microsoft. It's just PowerPoint.
Oh, the PowerPoint, the online version. Okay. I haven't used
Online
that one.
version. It's amazing.
The
And it's this
voiceovers
little
that are on
button.
it.
It's a little button called Designer, and it looks like a slide with a lightning bolt.
Oh, wow. Nice. I think I used it, but I don't know. Like I didn't see any new features. And I guess that's why we
That
need
like you
people
can just
like you
have
on
like
campus.
words on the slide, and it will pull up pictures that will go along with it. They're not always perfect, but you can like pull a picture in there, and it will design it around it.
Oh, right. So it gives you different options, and then you get to choose whatever you like, right?
So like I think we're going to see a lot of like a lot of AI integrated things more so. Like I think that's going to grow faster. It's always been there. Like we've always seen like AI and stuff, but it just, it became much more hot button when ChatGPT came out. But like in creating images, what was the image I had to create for you? What was it? Like in
Oh, the
Midjourney?
chicken. Yeah, the chicken inside the classroom, right?
Or like I was putting together this presentation about this class that I'm helping with now. It's about adult education. And he had an assignment the original designer had an assignment where they were using dystopian movies to explain adult ed. So I was able to generate like a Planet of the Apes picture. So there was an ape teaching the class.
Oh, wow.
And it's just this original weird content that no one else has that just fits exactly what I needed it to do. Like they're not all perfect. Like you gotta play with it and chat with it and talk to it. But like, you'll get some fun things there that, doesn't exist. You see the AI stuff everywhere. Or we have and I was sharing this with Chelsea the other day, like we had a professor that felt that he created classes for other people to teach, so it was confusing that his likeness was in the classes. And I think we had it because like she's currently taking Dr. Vaughn. But like his online class that he created, his ethics class, helped him create. He had just text on slides on purpose because he previously had like these like videos with him in it, and he didn't want his likeness because anyone can teach his class. So I had these my student workers, which are amazing. They put it in Canva, which uses a lot of AI, and made these amazing interactive videos that were these slideshows. And then we have this amazing text to voice called Well Said, which, I've used that with you before, where you could just type in whatever you wanted to say, and it'll say it. Sometimes it sounds robotic, but a lot of times it sounds pretty lifelike.
It is. It's
Right,
very
yeah.
impressive, actually.
So, and like, there's some really fun things that we've done with that. And I see a lot of that in the future. Like, there's just opportunities to use this artificial intelligence to make things easier. And like, I don't know, is it the dystopia that a lot of our like doom and gloom folks are talking about? Like, probably not. Like, I don't like, I always reference like, I always say like, please and thank you to the generative AI things. Just
really?
just in case it does take over. No, but
Just in case.
I always make the
You feel
joke
the
that
good
like
side,
there's gonna
huh?
be the naked Schwarzenegger in my backyard. It'll be like Sanakata. Like just because
tough.
I decided to like, take a shortcut on writing some copy I don't care about.
Wow. So let's see, what's an exciting project that you're working on right now? You mentioned helping one faculty member.
I'm currently like putting together a presentation on the use of virtual reality. So we love using the 360 camera to capture a 360 environment. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, I met a professor at the Troop Center, and she did a quick mini lecture showing the troop center and pointing out all the features of the troop center and the football field and the entire SHAR facility. And then we used that video in class where the students put on the VR goggles and they were able to look around and see where she was pointing and talking about. And we were able, and she gave an assignment in class, like, and it was about like running like a sports event. So like talking about like what security issues there could potentially be, what you need to pay attention to. So like the back of our football field is totally open. Right next to it is the fraternity buildings. Like there's just all these like open spaces. So like, you know, students that are like, you know, going into sports management, they need to pay attention to these things. So they use our football field to explain it. So they were able to visit the football facility before actually visiting it. Another application is we want to use it for, like, say, human resources, and you plop down the camera. You could do a still shot in an unsafe work environment, and students can point out all the violations.
Right. Yeah. I can see a lot of fields using it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Like lots for business, a ton for business. We did it for criminal justice, where we had a criminal justice professor showing how to measure a body at a crime scene, and you see like. You can look around the room as she's measuring. You can focus in there. So a lot of really fun applications to bring students where they are. Or like there's a ton of 360 videos that already exist you can pull up on the goggles. So if we're planning on visiting Ireland, we had a study abroad group. We went into their class and we found some landmarks they will visit. And they were able to visit it before they visited it. So it's a little more familiar. And they know what to look for and really focus on something. Or if they saw something of interest, they can research it a little more because they actually saw it. Just like visiting a place and then going back because you're like, oh, I didn't know about the thing. I want to go check it out. So you can actually like visit it before and check out all the artifacts that you missed out on. The other one is the whiteboard, which is pretty much a pane of glass that's illuminated with neon lights and a bright light. And faculty, you see their face. There's a camera on the other side of 2 monitors, and you can record them, and you can see their face as they're lecturing and writing on the board.
Wow.
So Professor Wiley currently is using that for one of his history courses where he's talking about different versions of freedom. And I love how he's really taking to it because he's taken a few takes of just drawing out like, different things on a slide. It's so fun. But there's a lot of great applications of like in history where like, you're talking about battles, writing on a map. So I have a really great video of Professor Burkett drawing on a Gettysburg map, talking about the battles. Great applications for science and math and ethics, logic. Anytime you want to see the professor as they're writing and you can see their face, and it makes it so much more engaging when shooting video.
Right. It also work for our coaches, maybe if they want to do like, let's say a workshop or module on, how to write something or how to give a speech, right? Mm-hmm. That would come in handy, I would imagine. Right. Are those tools that you just talked about, Chuck, are they only open or accessible to faculty, or are they also accessible to students? Can students use them?
I'll make them accessible to whoever's interested.
Did you hear that, Chelsea?
Yeah, I'm excited.
And like soon enough, like on the first floor of the library, we're gonna have a VR room, and we'll have like the Meta Quests or Oculus Quest, whatever you want to call it. It's Meta now. And then we have sports. The Microsoft HoloLens, which are augmented. So we want to popularize that as much as possible. We want people to use that room. A lot of times you see universities like we'll get a grant for something and then the room is locked or it's in the basement or no one knows how to use it. So we want people to actively use this stuff and know how to use it and shoot the 3D video and develop assets for the augmented reality. And
will there be a form that we need to fill out, or how do you go about maybe reserving the space?
So new, I don't know. I wasn't even the originator of the grant. It was the former head of the library that left us in January, and he created worked on the grant before us, and pretty much right before he quit, he said, "Hey, I have this built on the first floor of the library in the middle of all the awesome things that are happening." So we're still learning as everything's being built on and what the protocol and what we're supposed to do.
Very good. No, that sounds exciting. And by the way, we're also moving to the first floor of the library. So
Mhm.
it's only a matter of weeks. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll be there. It'll be close to the cafe and also close to the virtual reality room. Very exciting. So you can come visit WCC, have coffee, and then
Right,
practice some VR.
Go to Mars. Yeah.
working at the Writing Center that close to the cafe is going to be so dangerous for my wallet.
Oh, everyone's going to be awake,
Oh
flying
my goodness.
after consuming so much coffee.
Right.
Chuck, I don't want to
Delicious
take up so
blueberry
much of
coffee.
your time.
Yep.
But I have one question really that I would like your take on it. What's your advice for students who are reluctant to communicate in class?
Like everyone's probably thinking the same thing or want to ask the same thing. And like class is the time to take advantage of not only your professor but also your peers' thoughts on any topic. I finally had a question today about the paper that's due next week. I'm like, oh yeah, the format, yeah, it's right here. It's like, it was on the format of the paper the whole time, but no one pointed it out for me to talk about it in class, and it just didn't occur to me until today. So it's good to ask questions because it's a question that probably like half the class already has.
Right.
Or it might be an interesting point that I never thought of. I've added things to my classes that students have mentioned because their past experiences. So it's worth discussing these things because maybe some people are thinking about it, or maybe they need to learn from you. And it might be something that like the faculty member's not aware of or never thought about incorporating into that specific idea.
Right.
Genuinely, as a student, like no question is a dumb question. I will laugh at myself while I'm asking a question because I know like this is like I should logically know this, but I don't. So I'm gonna ask anyway because I know somebody else is thinking the same thing I am. Like there's genuinely no dumb question to ask.
Very good, yeah. And that's the reason
Like I
why
think the
we're
only
here,
ones
right?
to avoid are like anything like hurtful-ish.
Yes, yeah.
But like
I mean,
aside
yeah,
from that,
within reason, right?
yeah, like I don't know. Like I feel I'm always skating on the line in my classes. Like I've had statements in my class, in my syllabi that says like I usually take a take that I don't believe in just to get you all going. Just to try to spur some kind of conversation. I feel like really lucky this semester because I have two classes that are willing to talk. Like I don't no one's been really like silent this semester at all. Like I feel like something's been lifted since COVID. Like I don't know, like whatever aura or silence that was been put over my students from the COVID era has been finally lifted. So people are finally like talking. Where in the past few semesters, I had a couple of chatty people, but
Right.
People were just kind of afraid to talk. And I think that like that shyness kind of feels like it's going away a little bit this semester.
Very good, yeah. I've noticed the same thing. I don't know about Chelsea. If you can see maybe the differences between the first semesters at AU and right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like even in my communications class, everyone was very quiet, and I think everyone's just getting more comfortable.
Yeah, very good. Very good. This is good to hear. Chelsea, any questions for Chuck before we call it a day?
Nope.
Your last chance.
More.
You cannot ask in class.
Right.
Well, Chuck, as we wrap up today's chat, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and your insights. It's not every day that we get to have someone with your caliber to sit down with and talk with. So thanks a lot for sharing your expertise and for being our first guest, not host, guest, right?
All right. Well,
awesome.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's an honor.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah,
now
what
that,
a guy,
now that,
right?
Now that Chuck is gone, gosh.
Yeah.
You couldn't even say bye.
Thank God, huh? No, Chuck is awesome.
Yeah.
A wonderful person to have around, and we're really lucky to have him here at EU. He's one of those guys who can just do about everything, really.
Yeah, he's a jack of so many trades.
Yeah. Well, should we just say bye until the next
Till
episode?
next time.
All right.
You're ready for the next episode.
Okay, there you go.
Dr. Dre's coming out.
We need some music too, right?
I can play
Like
the
that.
outro of Dr. Dre.
Yeah, we need. Yeah, actually, we have our tech person, the podcast person, Bella, who's gonna be working on this. So maybe you can ask her to come up with some cool music.
Yeah.
At the beginning and also at the end.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. All right, Chelsea. Thank you so much.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you guys later.